Hey everybody, it's Joel at Back Road Builds. Welcome back to another episode of the Backyard Bar. Today what I'd like to work on is a wood rack, so we have fires are cooked down here, we'll have plenty of wood ready to go. So a couple things that I'm thinking about is that I'd like it up off the ground, and I'd also like it to follow the radius of the grain bin. Just to me it's going to look more aesthetically pleasing to follow that versus sticking way out on the one end. So what I've got here is, instead of adding some legs to the bottom of the tubing or the bottom of the rack when it's finished, we have these concrete blocks that were left over from this grain bin before it was taken down. It held up the original floor. So I got a whole pile of those sitting over there. I grabbed 3 of them. That's enough to hold this rack up and thought we'd use those. Then what I need to do is take and curve a couple pieces of tubing for the bottom. So if I hold this up to the grain bin in the center, and look at the ends, it looks like there's maybe about 7 or 8 inches that I need to come in with each end. So what I'm going to do is take this back to the shop, we'll run it through the roller a couple times, and we'll come back and do a test fit and see how it looks. So right now all I'm doing is trying to get this thing to bend enough where I think I'm close to that maybe 7 or 8 inches curvature from the center to the end. All right, let's see how this looks. That isn't too bad. I'm happy with that. I have a little bit more of a curve on it than what I wanted, but it's gonna work just fine. So let's get back to the shop. We'll bend the second piece of tubing to match this one. All right, that looks perfect. So what I need to do next now is I have all the pieces cut, but we'll slide this apart. I'm gonna weld 4 cross members in here to tie the bottom together, and then we'll weld an upright for each end. Warning. Read and follow all labels and your owner's manuals. So I want to make sure that I make these uprights square. So I'm going to clamp down the long support here, and we'll square up the short end. We'll get this thing welded together. We'll get the other side and we should be good. All right, we'll get these welded to the base. That'll complete the project. So before welding the uprights on, I want to grind down these welds that are sticking up. So I want a nice flat surface when I weld the uprights on both ends. I'm going to utilize these magnets to help keep me at 90 degrees and hold this in place while I'm tack welding. So now that the wood rack is done, I'm gonna need to get busy with the chainsaw and the splitter and get this thing filled up. But in the meantime, on the inside of the grain bin, I have this old parlor stove that I really like to make it functional just for some ambiance when we're hanging out down here. Now it doesn't take really big logs like what we're gonna use on the fire in that. So what I thought was, how about just some kindling wood to burn in here, because I don't need to make a big fire. So I'd like to make a kindling splitter that I found online that will sit vertical on either a wall or a post. For me, it'll be mounted to a post, and it's just like a big knife, and I can cut up some nice pieces that I can burn in here. So let's get started on that project. So as I mentioned, I found a kindling wood splitter online that I really liked. What I like to do is, instead of buying something, is building it if I can. Let alone if I can build it out of material that's left over from previous projects or scrap that I have on the side, that's even better because I don't have to spend any money. So what I did was I went and I came up with this design based off of the picture I found, and the whole thing when it's done will mount vertical like this. And I came to the shop and I found some 1/2" material, enough to make 2 of those. And then we had this 3/8 bar left over from our fire pit project. This will be the blade that will pivot here and come down and cut the kindling wood. So I have this one cut, I have the second one marked out, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this cut. So what I'm gonna do is line these pieces up. I'm gonna clamp everything together and bring it over to the drill press so I can put a 3/8 hole through here, and that'll be my pivot for the handle. So while I have the assembly clamped together yet, what I wanna do is weld it to the mounting feet. I already got those cut. The holes are drilled, and so we'll get this welded to there. When that's done, I'm gonna pull the bolt back out. We'll take this arm back out, or the knife if you wanna call it that. We're gonna use the plasma cutter and get the rough edge put on it for cutting. I'll come back with a grinder and a flap wheel, and then I'll get that nice and smooth and sharp. Now once I get this mounted down by the bar, I'm going to be able to start splitting kindling for the stove. Now that the hard work is done, it's time for some fun. So join us for the party at the backyard bar. Cheers! Thanks for joining us at the Backyard Bar. I've had a great time building this project. We've had a great time at the party today, so come on back and watch us build some more cool welding projects.